Obviously, it was about getting close to like exactly 3 years ago from when COVID shut everything down. I know for me, I was in college at Ohio State, and I think they sent out an announcement saying that spring break was going to be extended by a few weeks and
Oh,
then
wow.
just never went back. So it's kind of crazy that it's 3 years, right?
Yeah, I think I would have preferred being a college student during COVID and working in the hospitality industry. But yeah, no, I can't. Anytime I speak to anyone about COVID, it's just a blur. It's almost like a time warp where you feel like you did not live throughout that time. It's just like I can't believe 2020 is 3 years ago. It feels like it was 2 years ago or last year.
Hmm.
So it's like it was a big time warp to everyone. We
Yeah.
missed out on a lot, but I think we've learned some great lessons about ourselves and taking great care of ourselves and our families and friends and loved ones. So that was definitely a value that we learned, in my opinion.
Yeah. So to start off, I want to ask, how have you personally changed since COVID started 3 years ago?
Absolutely. So, when I think about my change, that was a tough one, but I feel that as a person, I've become more efficient and purposeful. It's when during COVID, we went through something very similar to you. We had to reduce our staff levels. There were several layoffs. It was very heartbreaking. I never in my years thought as a general manager that I would have to lay off so many people. And it really broke my heart. And at the end of the day, we still operated a lot of hotels, as we know, have closed during the pandemic and have since reopened, which and some have not. But my particular hotel, the Le Meridian Arlington, stayed open throughout the entire pandemic. We went from a staff of 60 people to a staff of 10. And I just, one thing I do love about hospitality is the humble beginnings. And, I knew how to check in a guest. I knew how to serve a guest in the restaurant. There's a lot of things I know how to clean a room. Those are the things, the skills that I was able to apply during the pandemic. And as a general manager, typically you don't see a general manager checking in guests, but a lot of general managers had to do that to survive the pandemic, so that our hotels could bring in some revenue, if anything, and to stay afloat. So I checked in guests. I cleaned a lot of rooms during the pandemic, but it was very hard for me to keep the operation going while I had to perform hands-on duties. So one thing that I can say is that right now as a leader, I always try to make sure that we have purposeful meetings. I'm not one of those leaders that meets just to meet. We're meeting for a purpose. We'll have an agenda, and we dedicate a certain day of the week just to, have all of the meetings that are necessary for our operation. Instead of meeting throughout the week, we meet one day. All of my leaders have different schedules. So Thursdays are our meeting days. We have our staff meeting. We talk about our groups through our resume meeting. We talk about our labor and expenses, and of course, our guest satisfaction and associate satisfaction. So it takes about an hour and a half if everyone behaves. But that's a joke because my team really loves each other, and they'll joke around sometimes, but we try to respect each other's time, and just so that we can get through the meetings. But I have a greater value of both people and time due to the pandemic. So I want to ensure that my associates are happy and that I cater to them when it comes to ensuring that we are compliant, that we are doing our following our Marriott standards, following our corporate HEI hotels and resort standards, and we check a lot of boxes through these efficient meetings. So that's one thing that I have changed. Um, and then just focusing more on mental and physical health is really important that I lead by example there. I always explain to my team I come from that age or that time period in hospitality, and I'm sure a lot of industries were the same. You know, when you're sick, you're afraid that to call off. You would think that your fellow colleagues and your boss would think that you're just calling off to call off, and you would just come in sick, and you would be miserable. You probably infected 100 people. You just show up for work, and I try to lead by example. I hate being sick. I'm one of those what do you call them? I'm really a baby when I'm sick. I get very I'm not myself, and I want to ensure that I am in good health, good spirits when I'm with my team. That's really important to me, both mentally and physically. And I always tell my leaders, my own property leaders, that if you're not 100%, you can't provide 100% while you're at work. So that's important to me that, I lead by example there. And that, there's some days where I need a day, to heal, and I'll take that. So, and I expect the same for my leaders and my team. And I always tell them that we'll run the operation. We're a team here. If someone is not able to, perform, we'll be there to help you and to pick you up. So that's another thing that I've changed since the pandemic. And then I celebrate more wins and successes. I was a big picture person, I would say more. I'm sorry, can we pause for 2 seconds?
Yes, yeah.
My IT is coming into my computer right now.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, not a good time. Okay, they figured it out. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm like, what is going on? So yeah, so I tried going back to how I personally changed. I celebrate more successes and small wins versus the bigger picture, because you have to always cheer your team on, so that we can get to that bigger picture, so we can get to that big win. And we come to the age, a lot of the Gen Zers and millennials, they really love feedback, and it's really important to cater and to provide them with that feedback, not at the goal line, but while they're running to the goal line. So that's really important, and that's another way that I have personally changed throughout the pandemic.
Awesome. I really like the motto that you have to be 100% to give 100%. I think that's a good message.
It is, and I don't know if it's our American way or what. I was raised, even when I'm not 100%, you always give
Yeah,
100%, but you will make you will make yourself sicker and dig a hole for yourself, where if you had spent that day, you could bounce back a lot faster. And I really want to ensure that my team, if they need a day, if they've been working 6 days straight, and they need a day, please take a day, because you deserve it. You work hard. In the past we just let everyone work, but I've definitely changed my mindset there, and when it comes to myself and my team.
yeah. So you took over the Madison in April of last year, which wasn't necessarily the height of the pandemic, but it was still during the pandemic. What was it like taking over hotel then compared to in the past for you?
So staffing is always a challenge, especially during this post-pandemic world. One of the one of the greatest things about this hotel is that we were able to call back associates. There are a lot of associates who are still laid off, and we just called them back in, and they were able to work. So It actually coincided with the uptick of our occupancy and business volumes, so it worked out for the best. Still had some challenges, with recruitment as far as some of the positions that couldn't come back in management positions, but overall it worked in our favor. Um, the other challenge is just alignment. Again, you're bringing back, think we probably went to from 40 to 50 associates to 120 within the matter of 2 months. So it's alignment, making sure that the team understands what our goals are, who this new management company is, who this new brand is, because you transition from Hilton to Marriott. So one thing that my company HEI does that I really appreciate is there's a lot of structure there, and they kind of give you the blueprint of how to be a good leader, how to manage a team. So the meetings that I spoke of earlier, staff meetings, group resume meetings, things of that nature, they help us and align us together as a team so that we can operate successfully. So when it comes to our associates, there are really important meetings that we also need to have with them, but we don't really consider them meetings, it's more fun.
Hmm.
So one example is we have a monthly town hall meeting. So I took it upon myself to host our first town hall in June, and we spoke about who HEI is, the management company, what our HEI Loves culture is. And HEI Loves was founded by our CEO, Anthony Rutledge. It's really to provide just a great culture and environment for our team. They're the ones that provide the service to our guests. They're the reason for our success, and we want to make sure that we provide the love back to them. So we have our monthly town halls, and we talk about our successes, told them about the timeline of our upcoming renovation, spoke about who HEI as a company is, introduced myself as a general manager. And really, I like to talk about, our goals. I like to streamline, my message so that my associates understand the big picture. What are we trying to accomplish here? What are the great things that we're bringing in with HEI? One thing that I mentioned is what to expect. We as HEI, we have monthly department meetings as well as town halls, so you can voice your opinion to your leaders. This is a safe environment. If you have any issues, you can speak about them there, and we'll also train you. We also have uh, uh, we also have a wellness day that we participate. We try to get everyone to come in and to participate in. For example, this month we have a massage day next Tuesday
Nice.
from 10 from 12 to 3. So we bring in a massage therapist, and the team loves it. They sign up in 10-minute intervals. So those are just some of the things that we've rolled out since we've taken over the hotel, and I've personally ensured that they are consistent for the team, so they can understand. We just don't speak about it. We're going to take action and act on the things that we promise to our associates.
Yeah. What have you noticed, or throughout the pandemic, there's obviously been a ton of changes, some temperamental, but others permanent. What are some of the changes that you think are going to be permanent changes moving forward?
Um, that was a tough one. I would say my answer would have changed or would have been a bit more lengthy last year,
Hmm.
2022. What I am noticing now is that our guests really want us to get back to our pre-pandemic levels of service and amenities. And I did review our standards that Marriott sent us in January, and it looks like as an industry, we are trying our best to get back to the pre-pandemic service levels. It's easier said than done, to be honest with you. But one thing is that's always going to be there and be a constant is cleanliness. Our guests are more focused on cleanliness more than ever. and as should we be. And we are, you have to check into a clean hotel. So we want to ensure that our guests feel safe and they feel that we're following the proper procedures and that our hotel is just, presentable and clean. That's the bare minimum there. Um, Efficiency, that's another thing that I feel has changed with services, efficiency with technology, a lot of mobile devices now, QR codes, you know, uh, for example, you can order room service from your app, the Marriott Bonvoy app, and they can be either packaged and sent to you from some hotels, and some hotels deliver them, on a tray. But that's one example of something that's changed. A lot of hotels have gone to the packaging, so it's very similar to a DoorDash or Uber Eats. But I see a lot of guests wanting that level of luxury back, where they receive the order on the tray. And I've stayed at hotels that have that luxury, and it have a level of service, and they still have room service. It's more
Hmm.
the resorts, and it's the urban hotels and the other hotels that need to bring that back. But I've seen it both ways. I really want my hotel to bring back. We're launching our in-room dining soon, so we are focused on bringing that back to our pre-pandemic levels. The other thing too is recruitment. Recruitment has been very tough in the industry, so we are striving to have competitive wages and salaries, ensuring that that our associates are satisfied to limit our retention rate. And that's really what we've been focusing on, in addition to trying to get new people in the door. But it's been very tough. I think that we're all fighting for the same talent. And I feel that with recruitment, there's a lot of hotel industry, people that have just left because, they are tired. They might have been burnt out from the pandemic, and they just, they're tired of the industry, but we are trying to get them back. We're trying to woo them back. And, I love this industry. And, I think that we did have a tough period, but it's getting better. And we just have to adapt and change.
Yeah.
Um, and then lastly, I think the average daily rate has definitely made a drastic increase, although some of the occupancy levels haven't been back to the pre-pandemic
Right.
um, uh, range. But that's with inflation, I think that a lot of our consumers are understanding that things are going to cost a little bit more, and they may not change. So I'm looking forward to continuously growing our ADR, but that's another thing that I think has permanently changed due to COVID-19.
Gotcha. Okay, so now we're going to do a little exercise. So if you had a reverse time capsule, what would you send yourself back at the beginning of the pandemic?
That is tough. I think just a letter of encouragement. I'm one of those people that has I lead with positive energy. I think that is infectious. And there were some times that the pandemic I almost got the best of me, because it was just it was it was just very taxing on all of us, you know. And it's really my team that kept me going. And when we started to see a shift where um, there was an uptick in travel, uh, it felt it was a relief to see that the occupancy levels were returning, that our team is returning. It definitely was a time that we could excel and really say, we're getting back. We're not where we were, but we're seeing some improvement here. And encouragement is important to me because it was a tough time, and at one point we were not sure when if any change would have resulted from that pandemic. So letter of encouragement.
Nice. All right. And then instead of 2020 hindsight, how about hindsight for 2020? What's something you wish that you knew at the beginning of the pandemic?
That was a tough one too. At the beginning of the pandemic, what would I would have loved to know the longevity of the pandemic. I think that for a lot of us, as you mentioned earlier, you only thought that you were going to have an extended spring break, but we really needed to adapt and change. The messages felt like, my first message to the team was, this is expected to last a few weeks, and then it changed to a few months, and then we really didn't know what was going on and how long the pandemic would last. So I wish you just have patience, and just it's out of your control. You have to adapt, and you have to you know find creative ways to make it work for you, make it work for your team, run a successful operation. So that's, I think, to be honest with you, that's what I really had to do in the first place. But if I had the knowledge I have now, just again, persevere.